TV English, the solution for humanity.
We find more than 461 verses in the Quran that speak about our planet, Earth. And these words, Al-Ard, comes in three meanings. If it comes in comparison with the moon or the sun or the constellations, it means the whole planet. وَفِي الْأَرْضِ آيَاتٌ لِلْمُوقِنِينَ. Verily, in the earth are signs for those who are truly believing in Allah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our speaker for this session is the renowned geologist, Professor Dr. Zaghloul Raghib Muhammad Al-Najjar. Born in 1933 in Gharbia, Egypt, Professor Najjar is the chairman presently of the Committee on Scientific Notions in the Glorious Quran, Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs, Cairo, Egypt. He holds a PhD in geology from the University of Wales, UK, as well as a BSc Honours from Cairo University, Egypt. Amongst his honours, awards and scientific affiliations, we have the Robertson Postdoctoral Research Fellowship, University College of Wales, Aberystwyth, Cards, UK, from 1963 to 1966, and laureate of the Presidential Order of Merit Sudan, as well as he was elected Fellow of the Islamic Academy of Sciences, Amman, Jordan. He is also an Associate Editor, Al Rayan Scientific Journal, Doha, Qatar, and a Fellow of the Geological Society of London, member of the American Association of Petroleum Geologists. His honours also include the Robertson Research Laboratories, North Wales, UK Association, as well as the Dubai Islamic Bank, UAE Association. He is a member of the Board of Directors of the International Council for Islamic Research, Cairo, Egypt, and he is also the member of the Board of Trustees, the Islamic Information Organization, London, UK. He has been the scientific consultant, Musée de la Civilisation Musulmane in Suisse. It's an institute of cultural Musulman La Chaux de Fonds, Switzerland. His professional career includes being the rector of Al-Ahqaf University, Yemen, director, Markfield Institute of Higher Education, Markfield, Leicester, UK, from 2000 till 2001, and being consultant for higher education, Arab Institute for Development, from 1996 to 2000. He has been a professor of geology at the King Fahd University of Petroleum and Mineral, Dhahran, and professor of geology and chairman, Department of Geology, Qatar University, Doha, Qatar, as well as a professor of geology, Kuwait University, Kuwait. Brothers and sisters, scientist, professor par excellence, one of the leading geologists of the world, to speak to us on Earth in the Glorious Quran, let's earnestly welcome Dr. Zaglul Najjar.
May Allah's peace, mercy, and blessings be with you all. My address to you today is on earth in the glorious Quran. And before I do this, I would like to emphasize the fact that the glorious Quran is basically a book of guidance to man in areas that cannot be clearly addressed by man, such as the area of faith, the area of acts of worship, the area of the moral code, and the area of the code of transactions with others. These four basic areas are either in the domain of the unseen that cannot be reached by man, such as the area of faith, or they have to be divine instructions, purely divine instructions, such as the acts of worship, or they are controls over human behavior, and history tells us that man cannot possibly lay down right answers to himself in any of these four basic areas: faith, acts of worship, the moral code, and the code of transactions with others. But besides these basic foundations of the message of the Quran, we find that this noble book contains more than 1,000 cosmic verses. These cosmic verses did not come down in the context of being pieces of scientific information per se. They come in the context of testifying to the supreme nature of the Creator, to the oneness of the Creator, to the fact that inasmuch as Allah has created everything in that universe, He is capable of annihilating everything and reconstructing and resurrecting it once more. So many scholars try to misconceive the fact that when we talk about science in the Quran, or the scientific miracles in the Quran, the scientific truths in the Quran, the scientific precedents of the glorious Quran. So when we talk about these cosmic verses, we talk about it in the context of testifying to the fact that the Quran is the absolute truth, in as much as it is truthful in its main message: faith, acts of worship, the moral code, the code of transactions with others. It is absolutely truthful in every single statement that came in it, being scientific, historic, in any field, because this is the word of the Creator in its divine purity, and it has to be absolutely true. Because of this, I wanted to talk to you about the scientific notions in the glorious Quran about the planet we are living in, Earth. We find more than 461 verses in the Quran that speak about our planet, Earth. And these words, al-ard, comes in three meanings. If it comes in comparison with the moon, or the sun, or the constellations, it means the whole planet. If it comes without reference, it can be either the continental masses we are living on, or the soil section on top of these continental masses. And I'll begin by the first verse, where the Quran reads, وَفِي الْأَرْضِ آيَاتٌ لِلْمُوقِنِينَ. Verily, in the earth are signs for those who are truly believing in Allah. Of course, this verse alone needs a complete lecture by itself, because if we study the earth, we can see that everything in that planet is absolutely precise. The mass, the volume, the distance from the sun, the distance from the moon, the relationship with the other planets, the various cycles on the surface of that planet, the rock cycle, the water cycle, the atmospheric cycle, the life cycle. Everything is carried out in absolute perfection that testifies to the fact that this planet cannot have made itself by itself, and it can neither be the product of a chance or an accident. It is the work of the Creator, and it testifies for the might, knowledge, and wisdom of that Creator. I am not going to stop too much in that verse because it needs lots of elaborations. But let me say that if the Earth was slightly bigger than its present volume and mass, it could attract a much heavier atmosphere that cannot allow anything more than the size of a rat to exist. If it was slightly closer to the sun, the amount of heat coming from the sun would burn everything, would evaporate the water, would really change the atmospheric composition, and would make this planet completely unsuitable for life. If it was further away from the sun, everything would freeze and life could never exist. So Allah is directing our attention to the marvels of creation in the planet we are living on alone, which is only a tiny speck in a highly vast, immense, and complicated universe. Another verse reads, وَالْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ دَحَاهَا أَخْرَجَ مِنْهَا مَاءَهَا وَمَرْعَاهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all glory be to Him, is speaking about successive stages in the creation of the universe. And one of these stages is دحو الأرض. وَالْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ دَحَاهَا أَخْرَجَ مِنْهَا مَاءَهَا وَمَرْعَاهَا. And the earth, Allah has further expanded, and through that expansion, He has gushed out from within the earth both its water and its pasture. And it's amazing, these two verses really contain an immense quantity of scientific knowledge that was not known to anybody at the time of the revelation of the glorious Quran, or even for centuries after the revelation of the glorious Quran. Ad-dahwa in Arabic is a precise Arabic word that means al-maddu wal-bastu wal-ilqa, throwing away, expanding the area, and increasing its dimensions. And this is a very important word that describes the work of a volcanic eruption. When a volcano erupts, it throws its magma, which solidifies as rock and increases the volume and the extension of the volcanic cone. And in this way, Allah has created the continental masses. Science tells us today that the earth started in its very early history by an inundating sea. There were no continental masses. Then Allah caused the central part of this inundating ocean to be rifted, to be deeply rifted. And as a result of that rifting, the magma started to ooze, to come out. And with this volcanic eruption under the sea, we had a mid-oceanic ridge in the axial part of this inundating sea. Existing ocean, we have a mid-oceanic ridge. The very first prominence that came above water was the land of Mecca. And from this peak, Allah has extended the land mass through volcanic eruption and formed out of this one single continental mass, which is known as the mother of continents, or the continental mother. Allah has split that mother by faulting into the 7 main continents of our time, and these continents started to drift away from each other until they reached their current positions, and they are still drifting away from each other.
I'm your brother in Islam, Hussein Yi from Malaysia, and you are watching Peace TV, the solution for humanity.
Every human being can agree to disagree or disagree to agree. Dispute superstitions and refute the myth which is created around the word religion, which is misinterpreted, misconstrued, and misjudged. Let's wake up from delusion and step into the world of reality with confidence. Find all the answers to confront or defy. reject or accept, dispute or challenge when caught in crossfire.
Misconceptions clarified, falsehood exposed, and truth revealed. Discover the reality with Dr. Zakir Naik in Crossfire every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. and repeat telecast at 12:30 p.m. UK on Peace TV.
India, for example, was in the southern part of Arabia, and it was attached to Australia and New Zealand. So the continents are moving, are drifting away from each other. And that's why the Quran spells out this fact more than 14 centuries ago, which was only disclosed to man in the late 60s, early 70s of the 20th century. وَالْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ دَحَاهَا. And the earth, Allah has further on expanded, and I put between brackets, through volcanic activity. And when Hadrat ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them both, was asked, what's the meaning of Dahaha? He said it was explained by the following verse, أخرج منها ماءها ومرعاها. And I think I mentioned in the previous lecture that the earth is the highly endowed with a great quantity of water than any other planet we know of. The richest planet in water is our earth. Our earth, Allah has bestowed this earth by 1.4 billion cubic kilometers of water. And scientists wondered where that immense quantity of water has come from. Many theories have been put forward, which all collapsed. Finally, towards the end of the 20th century, it was noticed that through volcanic eruption, billions of cubic meters of water can come out from within the earth. And it was finally proved that all the huge quantity of water on the surface of our planet was physically gushed out from within the earth through volcanic or via volcanic activity. وَالْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ دَحَاهَا أَخْرَجَ مِنْهَا مَاءَهَا وَمَرْعَاهَا. The verse says Allah has gushed out from within the earth its water and its pasture. The number of volcanic vents on the earth, the frequency of eruption, the quantity of water coming out with every eruption gave us exactly the same figure, 1.4 billion cubic kilometers of water. So it has been finally proved that all the water on the surface of our planet was physically gushed out from within that planet, a fact only known at the end of the 20th century, for the Quran, a book revealed more than 14 centuries ago to an unlettered Prophet ﷺ in an unlettered society, is a testimony that the Quran cannot be the work of man. Because no man knew this fact before the revelation of this verse, except Prophet Muhammad probably ﷺ, but no man knew about this fact until the end of the 20th century. أخرج منها ماءها ومرعاها. Allah has gushed out from within the earth both its water and its pasture. A Bedouin at the time of Muhammad, peace be upon him, would read these two verses, and he will see, yes, when rain comes down, the earth becomes covered green grass, and life starts to show. But nowadays we understand this verse, word pasture, ماءها ومرعاها, by the fact that the second abundant gas that comes out after water vapor from volcanic vents is carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide has got a small percentage in our atmosphere, 0.03% today. And out of this small percentage of carbon dioxide, Allah has made it the primary element from which all the food chain life needs on the surface of that planet is produced. Allah has given green plants the power to take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and take some of the energy coming with the sun rays. And with that energy, green plant can dissociate carbon dioxide to its basic components. The carbon atom it retains, and the oxygen is released to the atmosphere for the breathing of humans and animals. Similarly, it takes water from the ground, or through watering, or through the humidity of the atmosphere, and breaks water to its primary components. The two hydrogen atoms it retains, and the oxygen atom it releases for the breathing of humans and animals. And with the solar energy, Allah has given the green plant the capacity to join the carbon atom with the hydrogen atoms in a long chain of carbohydrates. All the sugars we know of, all the starches we know of, all the plant oils and plant fats, all these can be created through the simple process known as photosynthesis. So Allah says, وَالْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ دَحَاهَا أَخْرَجَ مِنْهَا مَاءَهَا وَمَرْعَاهَا. Wallahi, these two verses alone can stand as a living testimony to every sane person that the glorious Quran cannot be the work of man. It's the divine word and its divine purity. The Quran spelled out this fact so elaborately in two verses. وَالْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ دَحَاهَا أَخْرَجَ مِنْهَا مَاءَهَا وَمَرْعَاهَا. And the earth, Allah has then caused it to expand through volcanic eruption, and He has gushed out from within the earth both its water and its pasture. In Surah Al-Tariq, the Quran reads, وَالْأَرْضِ ذَاتَ الصَّدْعِ. And by the earth that has got its fault system, its fractures along which it moves. وَالْأَرْضِ ذَاتَ الصَّدْعِ. Of course, any Bedouin at the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he listened to this verse, وَالْأَرْضِ ذَاتَ الصَّدْعِ, and by the earth that has got its own fractures, he said, yes, we see that as the rain comes down, the cracked soil starts to be enriched with water, and grasses coming out through pores in this soil. So these may mean the cracks of the earth. But only towards the middle part of the 20th century, 1960s, scientists went down to the bottoms of seas and oceans. And for their surprise, they found that there is a network of faults, of rifts. Actually, all oceans are established on deep rift systems. So they found this network of faults going in all directions, interconnected with each other, ranging in depth between 65 kilometers and 150 kilometers. And this interconnection symbolizes a single fault line, as if it has got a single fault line. And that's why the Quran reads, وَالْأَرْضِ ذَاتَ الصَّدْعِ, and by the earth that has got its own fracture. And earth scientists today admit clearly that one of the basic criteria of our planet is that it's a deeply rifted planet. It's a planet with a deep rift system. And these rift systems are essential for the existence of that planet, because within the earth there are immense quantities of radioactive material. And this radioactive material, Allah has given it the characteristic of natural spontaneous decay. And as a result of that decay, immense quantities of heat is produced. And unless that heat would find a safety valve through which it can come out to the surface without disrupting the earth, this earth could have exploded after the solidification of its outer crust completely as a huge atomic bomb. So Allah is showing His bounties upon us by giving the earth the necessary system that can maintain its existence. And that's why the Quran reads, وَالْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ دَحَاهَا أَخْرَجَ مِنْهَا مَاءَهَا وَمَرْعَاهَا, and then it reads, وَالْأَرْضِ ذَاتَ الصَّدْعِ, and by the earth that has its own fault system. The Quran reads, وَالْبَحْرِ الْمَسْجُورِ, by the sea that is physically set on a blaze. And this comes in Surah Al-Tur, and the Arabs could not understand how could the sea be physically set on a blaze. Water and fire are incompatible. Water quenches fire and fire evaporates water. How could water and fire coexist without one extinguishing the other? So they said, we can refer this verse to Surah Al-Takwir, where the Quran reads, وَإِذَا الْبِحَارُ سُجِّرَتْ, when the seas will be physically set on a blaze. But in Surah Al-Tur, the verses come in the present time, does not speak about the future. In Surah Al-Takwir, it speaks about the future tense. But in Surah Al-Tur, it talks about the present tense. وَالْبَحْرِ الْمَسْجُورِ, by the sea that is physically set on a blaze. And as I said last time, scientists could not understand this. How could the sea be physically set on a blaze? But when they went down to the bottoms of seas and oceans, they were surprised to find that all the oceans of our time are physically set on a blaze, because the axial part of the ocean is a deep rift system. And this rift system cuts the outer rocky cover of the earth at the sea bottom, reaches a zone of weakness wherein rocks are found in a semi-molten state, and that's why the magma can ooze out in millions of tons. The magma at temperatures of more than 1000 degrees centigrade evaporates water. The water rises up, finds cool water, condenses, comes back. It slightly quenches the magma, but new magma can come out. And this process can maintain the bottoms of all the oceans of our time to be physically set on a blaze. And this is one of the most amazing phenomenon to oceanographers and ocean scientists in our time.
A friendly message by Dr. Zakir, mother of all evils.
According to the World Health Organization, every year, millions of people die due to the consumption of alcohol. My colleagues, the medical doctors, nowadays say that alcoholism is a disease. Therefore, we have to be sympathetic towards a sick alcoholic person. If alcoholism is indeed a disease, then it is the only disease that is sold in bottles. It is the only disease that is advertised in the newspapers, in the magazines, on radio broadcast stations, on television satellite channels. It is the only disease that has outlets licensed to legally spread it. It gets a revenue for the government. It is the only disease that causes violent deaths on the highways. It destroys family life and increases crime. It is the only disease that has no germs or viral cause. But our Creator, the Almighty, says in His last testament, the glorious Quran, in Surah Ma'idah, chapter number 5, verse number 90, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, O you who believe, innamal khamru wal maisuru, most certainly intoxicants and gambling, wal ansabu wal azlam, dedication of stones, divination by arrows, rijthum min amali shaitan, these are an abomination of Satan's handiwork. Fashtanibuhu lallakum tuflihun, abstain from such abomination that you may prosper. Alcoholism is not a disease, it is Satan's handiwork. Abstain from it that you may prosper.
Peace TV, the solution for humanity.